All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the May workshop. Today, we're going to be talking all about 5 steps for digital domination. Excited to have you here. We're broadcasting across several platforms today and very excited about it. So let's dive in and get started with our 5 steps to digital domination. So first of all, I want to make this interactive. So if you are watching this live, across any of the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of the other ones, and you have a question, go ahead and put that question in the chat area or the comments area for whatever platform you're on. And we will actually see those comments and those questions. So I want to make sure that we get everything answered that you need to move forward, and make sure to do that. So we will get everything done. So also, we will have some free stuff for you. So if you hang around to the end, I want to make sure to get some resources into your hand that can really help your business grow, get moving in the right direction, at least. And we'll talk a little bit about those in a little bit. So first of all, I want to talk about what's working now. So we will kind of dig into some of this stuff. Last month, I did a workshop specifically on AEO, or answer engine optimization. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that and how that works with SEO, or search engine optimization. We're also going to cover paid ads, which is a critical part of any strategy going forward. Content marketing, so a little bit about the content that you're putting on your site and making sure that you're keeping things up to date, keeping your site fresh, letting Google know that it's not a stale website. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Social media marketing, lots to unpack there. And then lastly, customer reviews and reputation management. We can't do all this work and not get some sort of benefit from it all besides just leads. We want more people telling other people about this as well. So, all right, so let's jump into SEO, or search engine optimization, which now includes AEO, answer engine optimization. So as I mentioned, last month I did a webinar or a workshop specifically on AEO, and it really is the future. I'm sure if you've done any searches in the last month or two, you've had some sort of an AI answer come up when you search for results. That AI answer a lot of times answers the question. I mean, that's why it's built to do that. People are not necessarily scrolling any further down to look at some of the other results. Some people are, obviously, but that is the future, and you need to make sure you're paying attention to that. Now, when it comes to some core updates that happened already this year, web vitals. So making sure that your site is quick, make sure it's fast, it loads fast. There are some hosting companies out there that have very slow servers. So make sure that your site is loading quickly. Interactivity, meaning that people are able to do something on the site. Typically, that is set an appointment for us. For our industry, that's what we want them to do. Obviously, a contact button, if you have a chat widget, those kinds of things can really improve overall website vitals. And then, of course, the layout. Obviously, it has to be easy to scroll through. It has to be easy to understand. It's not too cluttered. So layout, definitely an important piece as well when we're talking about the actual design of your site. Now, EAT is something that we talked about a few months ago, but this really is the new thing that Google is pushing. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. Those are the 4 factors you have to have as part of every page of your site, not just your homepage, but every page on your site needs to have these 4 things as part of the overall experience for somebody that's coming to your site. Schema. So this is where we get a little nerdy, little bit of back end stuff here, and talk a little bit more about that. We'll get into that. And then mobile first indexing, very important. And then number 3 here is the recent update that happened in March of 2025, which is really just refining some of the ranking systems. So as I mentioned, AEO really is the future of all this. And this is the number 1 thing here that we really need to start paying attention to overall. It means answer engine optimization, and it is just what it sounds like. In the past, Google was ranking pages, right? Whoever had the best SEO and at the time had the best customer experience, that kind of stuff. Now they're really ranking answers. So it still kind of goes back to the content that's on your site. They're using that content, but they're helping people just get the right answers. In the past, keyword focus. So we would optimize a page specifically for window treatments, Seattle, whatever. Now it's more question based because people are starting to really interact with the AI and they're asking questions like, where can I find a window treatment company near me? Right. So they're understanding location, they're understanding the question, they're understanding the intent of the question, and then providing, in a lot of cases, some sort of AI generated answer because of that. Traditional SEO had blog style format. So typically a blog or a piece of content. Now we're putting more questions and answers that we know people are asking, clear headlines, clear headings on the pages. So lots of really cool things going on. A little bit of nerdy stuff in the back end that we need to, that we can do to our website to really set it apart from some of the others. And then the last one here on the right, AI and voice ready. Since everybody's using voice now, obviously we've been talking to Alexa and Google Home type services for a while, and Siri, but now you can talk with Chat GPT, for instance. You can talk with Google Gemini. You can have a conversation with it, and it understands context of the previous questions, comments that you've made, and can answer accordingly. So they need to be voice ready for sure. Now, when it comes to optimizing specifically for AEO, you need to write content that answers questions that you hear your customers asking all the time. Most likely, there are questions you hear over and over again. That's something that you should probably put on your website to answer, because just think, if you're hearing it 10 times a month, there's probably 10 people a day in your area thinking that same thing and maybe even searching for that same thing. So very important to create content that answers real customer questions. Use a frequently asked questions schema and structured data in the back end, and add clear headings. For instance, what are zebra shades? That's something people are going to type in. Why not be the one that answers that? Obviously, include local keywords in your answers so people know where you are and Google understands where you are and when to show your results versus somebody else searching in a different part of the country. And then make sure that you keep those answers short. If we go back and look at the experience and expertise and trustworthiness, keep those answers short, helpful, and trustworthy. That will really help you start to set yourself apart. Now, when it comes to some core SEO updates for this year, 2025, I talked about the core web vitals. There are a lot of things that are very important here that we really need to talk about. Optimizing images, other assets like that, minimizing some what we call render blocking resources. These are things that block the search engines from understanding what the website looks like. Typically, it's JavaScript, things like that. So keep that to a minimum. It's not a problem using it, just keep it to a minimum if possible. There's also something called code splitting. And obviously, we're getting into a little bit of the details here, but some of this can really help you present your website faster, which Google loves. Browser caching is another one. So having the ability to, if somebody comes back to your website, that page loads very quickly for them because they've already got it stored on their browser. And then lastly, fixing any sort of layout shift issues. So everybody's using different size screens. When you're building a site that is what we call responsive, it shifts depending on the size of that screen. So making sure that you're building a site that shifts correctly for all the different types of screens or sizes of screens is very important. Now, we mentioned EEAT, or EAT, a couple times now. This refers to the content and signals present on your website itself that demonstrate expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. These are the things that you really need to have as part of, like I said, every page on your website, not just your home page. Every page really needs to have these things. So some examples of some great signals related to this are author biographies showcasing credentials and expertise. So, a really good author section on your site. Trust seals, such as WCAA. In our case, we have a veteran owned logo on our site. These kinds of trust certifications, indicators are fantastic for the EEAT part of what Google is looking for. Also, a well-established history and reputation on the website. So the longer the website's been around, obviously Google loves that. Along the same lines is when you get a domain name, don't just register it and renew it every 1 year. Go ahead and blow it out 5 or 10 years. That's going to be a signal to Google that they understand, okay, this company's going to be around for a while. So that's an easy one to fix. Probably wouldn't even cost you $100 to do that. An easy one there for sure. And then positive user reviews and ratings. Make sure that you have good ratings on your site. And make sure that you have good reviews across some of the other trusted resources as well. Now, when it comes to structured data, this is usually implemented using schema, or you can find more about this on schema.org. This is a markup coding that you can put in the back end of your site it basically includes additional context and information about the content of a web page to the search engines. So the search engines have got together and they said, listen, if we get this kind of information in this format, we're going to know a little bit more about what this page is about. So this structured data is embedded directly into the HTML code in the back end of your website. So if you have a marketing company that's working with you now, this would be a great question to ask them. Are you including schema for all of our different pages on our site? In particular, homepage, your location page, and your product pages. Those are some really big ones here. So some examples of structured data, as I mentioned, product pages. So pricing, if you have pricing on your site, most of our clients don't. But you could have a price range. There's also a schema markup, I think, for number of dollar signs. A lot of people see that when they're looking at restaurants, right? 1, 2, 3, or 4 dollar signs. So there's something similar to that. So you can give it a pricing range. Obviously, availability, reviews on the products. If you have any, if you're doing any sort of events, this is a great way to put some extra code back there to help with that. Such as maybe you're sponsoring a booth at some sort of fair or something like that would be an example there. Articles, any sort of article that you add to your website, think content. Make sure that you're structuring it correctly so it has a good headline, author information, the date that it was published or updated. And then lastly, probably the most important one is local business information. So obviously your business name, your address, your hours, ways to contact you. These are all ways that you can structure code behind the scenes to really help Google and the other search engines learn more about your particular business. One example of a great place to really start to implement optimization is in platforms like Google Business Profile, or what used to be called Google My Business. In my industry, we still call it Google My Business, although that hasn't been the name of it now for well over a year. But these kinds of platforms really help power Google's knowledge panel in the local search results. And it's crucial that you do these steps. For us, well over 50% of our client leads come from the Google Business Profile area. It is critical to lead generation for sure. Now, when we talk about off-page elements, these are things that are not on your website, but on other websites that can influence your overall rankings, where you are, when are you shown, those kinds of things. So some of these off-key elements include obviously claiming and verifying your Google business profile. This is like mission critical. If you haven't done this, google.com/business is where you would go to start. It's very likely that unless you're a brand new business, that Google already has your business listed there. You need to claim it and then start getting those reviews. But that is the first step, is to make sure that's claimed. Then you need to optimize it. So make sure that you're optimizing your Google business profile with accurate NAP, which is name, address, phone, the correct category. So obviously awning manufacturer or window treatment dealer, those types of things are very important. And you can do more than one category. So if you're doing reupholstery, for instance, that's a category you can add. There are other categories as well. I think there's one for curtains or drapes. I think they actually reference it as curtains. Uh, but they're so look around for some different categories. List your products in there, your services, if you have services such as reupholstery, any sort of attributes. So an attribute could be veteran owned, woman owned business, handicap parking. Those kinds of attributes are very important. And then photos. Make sure that you're putting up really nice quality photos. And I would recommend you put up photos that you've taken or that your team has taken, and not photos that you got from Hunter Douglas or Graver or Sunsetter. Everybody else is using those same ones. So you really need to have something a little more unique to your own brand. Also, don't forget about managing and responding to all the reviews that you get. You really need to make sure not only that you're asking for more reviews, but that you're replying to those as well. Thank you, Mrs. Jones. We really enjoyed installing your Roman shades in your living room in the Detroit area, whatever that happens to be. Also, citations. So citations are very important, and citations are basically mentions of your business around the web. Maybe there's a link to your website as well, but maybe not. Google's smart enough to know that name, address, phone should always match up to whatever business. So even if you just had a business listing with those three things and no link back to your site, Google could actually consider that a valid citation and a mention of your business. Some examples of these are obviously your Facebook page, your Yelp profile, Houzz profile, Better Business Bureau, those types of websites that are business directory sites. Very important to have your business listed on those, and that your name, address, phone number always match as well. So we talked a little bit about getting reviews. Most of our clients ask for reviews on Google, but it doesn't hurt to also offer them the opportunity to leave a review on Facebook or Yahoo Local or Yelp, some of these other platforms as well. Those are still going to influence people that are looking for your products and services. So don't forget about those. Google, I would definitely put Google as the number one place to ask people to leave reviews for you, but don't forget about the others. All right, next, mobile first indexing optimization. So this is optimizing for mobile first indexing. It involves making changes directly to the website itself to ensure it delivers an excellent experience on mobile devices. So this is where we get back to talking about screen size, and are they holding it landscape or portrait? That's going to show your website in different ways. So making sure that you have a responsive, mobile friendly website design is obviously a fantastic start to this. Most websites nowadays are responsive, although I do come across some every once in a while that were built 10 years ago, and mobile wasn't necessarily an important thing back then. So if you've done your website in the last 4 or 5 years, you probably have a responsive theme, but you can always just pull it up on a couple different friends' phones, turn it sideways, see how it looks, right? That's an easy way to do it. Another thing is how fast the load times are on the different networks. It's very important that these websites still load quickly. And there goes a helicopter right over the top. Sorry about that. Uh, we'll give it a second. All right. So make sure that all of these websites not only load quickly on desktop, but that they also load quickly on mobile devices. Very important as well. Definitely needs to be something that is a consideration when you're getting your website done. Make sure that you're following best practices when it comes to user experience and design. And then avoid any kind of issues such as content that maybe doesn't play. Maybe it's a video that for some reason isn't working, or sometimes I'll see websites that has a video playing kind of in the background. In particular, shades going up and down, motorized type shades, see that a lot. And sometimes they don't work on some mobile devices. By the way, I should mention mobile devices does not just mean phone. It also means iPads, and there's iPad, iPad mini, lots of different screen sizes again. So making sure that they work across all these different types of machines is very important as well. And then at the end of the day, make sure that your mobile and desktop versions still have the same content, right? Google would figure it out if one looked quite different than the other when it came to the actual content and structured data related. All right, so let's talk about the recent core update that Google came out with. And I keep mentioning Google because they are the 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? They're the ones we need to make happy. If we can make them happy, Bing and Yahoo and some of these other guys kind of come along, but they're the ones that are going to drive the most eyeballs to your brand. So the March 2025 update continued refinement of core ranking systems to enhance the relevance of quality of search results. So it was just a big update to make sure that the results that Google is showing are the correct results. This includes the helpful content system. So they want to show helpful content to people. This is all related to the AI when you search for things and you get that AI result, but you actually haven't even visited a website yet, right? A lot of times they're pulling that information from websites to help build their AI answer system a lot better. Now, another thing that it did was it detects low quality and AI generated content. So I get the question a lot, can I just start creating all my content with ChatGPT? Absolutely not. You can create it, but it needs to be human edited and processed from there, right? It can get you 80% of the way if you're familiar with something like the Pareto principle, 80-20 principle. It'll get you 80% of the way there, but you still need to make sure that it is correct and that you're doing something. So just putting up AI generated content, Google's going to ding you. That page is not going to rank. You also obviously don't want low value content, or it doesn't help the end user really with whatever they're searching. They're probably searching for some sort of solution. So if it doesn't help with that, then it's probably considered low quality. Now, scaled content abuse. So this goes back to creating mass content from AI. They're going to be onto you about that pretty quickly. So there's no sense in really spending your time doing that. Now, this one's a little tough because if you're creating content that is specifically for the search engines and back to not really being helpful, you're just trying to create content that ranks you higher. It may rank higher for a very short amount of time, but it's just going to come crashing back down. So creating content that helps the user, answers their questions, is the best option here. And then expired domain abuse. So this was an old strategy where maybe a business related to yours would close and you could go grab that domain, point it to your website, and maybe get some of that, what we call it Google juice, some of those old backlinks, things like that to your website. Sometimes that can work against you. And then, basically just anything related to repurposing old websites or old domains for spamming purposes for some other things. Really starting to get onto that, and then hosting low quality content on high authority domains. So this is something related to something called parasite SEO, where low quality content is hosted on reputable domains to exploit their authority. So you've got these websites that are doing really well and Google really trusts them. And then you start to do get some content or something on their site, but it's poor content and it points back to you. Google's going to be onto that. So it's best that you just don't, you just kind of stay away from that stuff. Now, number 2 is all around paid ads. As I mentioned earlier, paid ads are crucial for your business for lead generation now. You used to be able to get away with just search engine optimization. It's really not the case anymore. Unfortunately, it's a pay to play kind of situation. So there are a lot of different pieces here. We've got Google ads, social media ads, retargeting strategies or remarketing strategies, landing page optimization, and then, of course, tracking and making sure that these things are working. So when it comes to Google ad campaigns, design campaigns that target specific keywords relevant to the window treatment or awning industry. Number 2, structure your campaigns by different product categories and services. So what you don't want to do is just run ads for window treatments near me, right? If somebody's going to Google and they're typing in zebra shades, you should have an ad that specifically talks about, yes, as a matter of fact, we do zebra shades, get them installed, soon. And you don't want to say tomorrow, but you want to have some sort of an ad that specifically talks to that product. And then number 3, use ad extensions to provide additional information and links directly in your ads. So I do a paid ads workshop. You can learn more about that at wtmarketingpros.com/training. That will get you to all of our workshops that we've done, including the Google Ads workshop, where I go into a little bit more detail about ad extensions, talk a little bit more about what those are, how you can take advantage of those and use those directly in your ads to really help your ad set apart your ads from some of the other people that are running ads as well. Now, when it comes to social media advertising, develop targeted ads on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, where visual content plays a crucial role. This is a really big, important thing because in this particular industry, a lot of people are making decisions based on visuals, right? They see other homes that you've done and they want that same kind of a thing. So make sure that you're using demographic and psychographic data to create ads that are tailored specifically to your audience's preferences and behaviors. This is really important so that you understand how your audience is reacting or interacting with social media, getting your ads in front of those people at that particular point. Now, retargeting strategies are all around somebody who has been exposed to your brand in some sort of way. And then maybe they didn't engage with your business. They went on and did some other searches, something like that. And then all of a sudden they start seeing your ads on other platforms. This is where you probably have experienced this. You looked at some shoes, maybe on Amazon or something, and 2 days later, those shoes are showing up on Facebook. So this retargeting type stuff is absolutely fantastic. It is not expensive to do retargeting ads and very much worth your time. Now, when it comes to landing pages, make sure that the page that the person, when they click on a link or they click on an ad that you've done, make sure that those pages are persuasive, that they match the ad's promise. So if the ad is promising a certain thing, that when they get to that page, that sort of information is still there. Make sure it's obviously optimized for conversion. So you don't want to give somebody a whole bunch of options when they click an ad and come to your site. Really, all you want them to do is pick up the phone or fill out some sort of a form to set an appointment, right? Those are really the big things that you want there. So you need nice, clear calls to action, but not a ton of other decision things to do, or distractions, I guess we could call them as well. And then, of course, tracking and adjustment. All this work you're doing to get these ads up and running, you need to be tracking these. You need to be making sure that you're measuring some important things, such as the ones we show here, so that you know they're working or they're not working. You can start to refine them a little bit, adjust the bids, refine the targeting, optimize the ad copy. If you have one ad that's working really well, performing great, and two ads that maybe aren't doing well, turn those two off. Take the one that's working really well and start to tweak on it a little bit, making different versions of it to see if you can make it even better, right? So that's a very important piece of this. You're spending all that money. Let's get the most juice out of the squeeze. Right? All right, number 3, content marketing. So content marketing includes blogging, which is the most obvious, building content on your site, video content, which is huge. Things like ebooks and guides. Some of our clients do a lot of that now. Email newsletters, a great way to stay top of mind. And then content distribution. So when we talk about blogging, there are a lot of different types of content you can put up on your website. Here's some examples, some how-tos, trends, customer stories, behind the scenes. People love this kind of stuff, showcasing specific products. The really cool thing with this is you can kind of start to mix this in with number 2, which is video content. So let's say that you have a product demo on the top down, bottom ups, right? So building content specifically around that and then doing a video on that same thing, fantastic way to kind of double up on content that you're creating. It's important. I mean, and most people nowadays have really nice phones that can create, some very high quality videos. Make sure that you're using something fairly recent so you have that good quality. But there's also things you can do around installs, design tips, helpful tips, things of that sort. When it comes to ebooks and guides, so you might think, well, I don't really need this, but we have really good feedback from clients who offer some sort of a download in exchange for an email sign up. So maybe it's 7 ways to design, your patio or get window treatments for your patio or an awning or something like that. There are a lot of different ways you could go with this. And especially for somebody who's maybe kind of in research mode, they're not necessarily ready to buy, but they're just kind of seeing what options are out there. If you can offer them some sort of guide in exchange for an email address, that gets them into your newsletter, which we'll talk about here in a second, and gives them some value. So when they come back and they're like, okay, we are ready to start being more serious about getting an awning over our back deck, you will come to mind. So definitely worth your time to create some of these things. And then pair that with an email newsletter, which is going to keep you top of mind in their system, because every month they're getting an email from you. Maybe they're not paying a lot of attention to those newsletters, but when they start to get past research mode and towards purchase mode, they're going to pay more attention and they're going to remember that you were reaching out to them month after month with great value. So having some different personalized recommendations based on their interests, past interactions, this is where you can really start to use a CRM to show them just the right things at the right time. And then make sure that you're leveraging social media, partnerships with other websites, email campaigns, sponsoring other similar newsletters, or maybe you're part of a group of like-minded businesses where you guys can share your stuff across different things. Is always fantastic. All right, so number 4, social media marketing. Everybody wants to know, what should I be doing on social media? And we're going to talk about a couple things here: platform-specific strategies, engagement tactics, influencer collaborations, user-generated content, and then analytics and optimization. You'll notice that the last one is always something related to tracking and making sure that all this effort is worthwhile. Now, when it comes to platform-specific strategies, make sure that you're doing the correct type of content on the correct platform. For instance, Facebook is a lot more social when it comes to the social media side, but Instagram is more visual, right? So you want to do a lot of visual related stories or things on there. So it just depends on which platform you're using, what kind of information you're putting out there. It's real important. When it comes to engagement tactics, it's been 2 or 3 years now since our friend Mark Zuckerberg came out and said they are tracking engagement. If you put up a post and people engage with it, they're more likely to show that to other people. So create things that improve or encourage engagement, such as polls, doing a live session, such as we're doing now, having a Q&A section. These kinds of things can really help your business get more eyeballs at the end of the day. Now, another thing you could do is perhaps partner with home decor influencers to create sponsored content that feels authentic and reaches a wider audience. So you're borrowing from maybe somebody else's audience who complements your business and gets you in front of more people in a short amount of time. This is an absolutely fantastic way to go about doing this. Now, number 4 here is user-generated content. So encourage customers to share their own experiences, photos, products. Potentially you could do this through contests or featured posts, which can enhance social proof and engagement. So we're really after other people seeing real life things that that are going on in your business, and customers sharing what you've done for them is a fantastic referral source, right? Even if they don't know you personally, just the fact that they had a great experience with your business can really improve your overall lead generation. And then the last thing here is all around analytics and optimization. Make sure that you're monitoring the performance of all your social media activities using some of their built-in analytics to understand, what's working best, and then refine your strategies accordingly. Make sure that you're continually making them better and better. And number 5, we've reached number 5, which is all around customer reviews and reputation management. So this includes getting the reviews in the first place. What happens if you get a negative review? Monitoring different brand mentions, community engagement. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then transparency and trust. So obviously you need to be encouraging your customers to leave positive reviews through follow-up emails and incentives, text messages, things of that sort, to make sure that they're leaving reviews whenever you ask. Now, you have to be careful about the incentive piece of this, because Google says in their terms of service you cannot directly pay somebody to leave you a positive review. So you need to be a little careful there, but you could incentivize your installers to ask for those reviews. Those kinds of things are perfectly fine and I would definitely encourage you to do that. Also, make it easy for them to do. Send them a text message with a link to leave you a review. It goes straight to the 5 stars, right? Having some of those things built into your systems can really help. We do a lot of this stuff through our lead boomerang system for our clients by default, where it's really easy for them to ask for a review in email, text message, even voicemails, things like that. And then, of course, make sure that you're asking on the right platforms. We think Google is probably your first choice, and that's where you need to get a good amount of your reviews. If you're in California, Yelp is probably pretty important. I don't know why, but only in California it seems to be important. Better Business Bureau is a good place. Facebook page for your business is a great place. There's a lot of these types of services, but make sure you're asking for those reviews in the first place. Now, when it comes to getting a negative review, your first inclination is to jump on there and say, oh yeah, And I would highly recommend you don't do that. Create some sort of a strategy to help when you respond to negative reviews. You want to respond promptly, but you also don't want to respond in a real negative way. So make sure it's professional. Offer to resolve any sort of issues, and make sure that you're demonstrating your commitment to customer satisfaction at the end of the day. What I typically do if that happens is I'll write some sort of rebuttal, let it kind of just percolate for 24 hours, then come back and edit it drastically to make it a lot better, a lot kinder. And you've kind of got over the initial insult by then, I think. Also, don't forget to monitor your different brand mentions. So if somebody is mentioning your brand somewhere online, you need to be monitoring this. You can do that through sites like Google Alerts, Mention, BuzzSumo. There are a couple different platforms out there that can help you make sure that you're tracking all of these things so that you can respond and engage as necessary. Now, when it comes to community engagement, actively participate in relevant online forums and social media groups with potential customers and industry peers. Now, when it comes to industry peers, I know there are a lot of window treatment and awning specific Facebook groups, for example, where you can post, where can I get this part? How should I do this window? Or just help others that are in the same industry. Those are great places to hang out. There are plenty of social media groups around neighborhoods and things like that that maybe you could be a part of as well. And again, be helpful and actively participate. Don't just be a sales guy on there. And then lastly, make sure that you're being transparent. Make sure that you're not trying to trick anybody, because if that trust gets broken on some of these platforms, that's pretty much the end of the day. All right, so let's review. We got a couple important things we want to make sure that we talk about today. AEO, very important. If you did not see my workshop last month, make sure that you go back and check that out. You can do that at wtmarketingpros.com/training. Check out that AEO specific workshop that we did. There are some core updates that come out. We always stay on top of all these different updates from Google, but this was a pretty big one around just being more helpful to the people that are trying to visit and solve some sort of question that they have. Don't forget about the paid ads. You have to be running paid ads nowadays. It's unfortunately just a part of the system. Content marketing, blogging, those kinds of things, social media marketing. All of these are very important. That should have been a 4 there. And then lastly, customer reviews. Make sure you're asking for those reviews, because people that are in the bottom of the funnel that have gone through your process, that are very happy, are going to influence more people that are going into the top of your funnel and starting to engage with your business. So definitely important to make sure you're doing this last step. It is last but not least for sure. So, all right. So let me see if you have any questions. If anybody's posted any questions here, I want to make sure that we get through these as well. So if there are questions, let's see. All right. If you are to pick a top strategy among the 5 discussed, which one would you want to focus on this year? That's a tough one. I'd probably end up picking 2 of those, actually. The first is the AEO, or answer engine optimization. Make sure that that is part of your strategy, because it is very important. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the other piece of that is paid ads. Everything that you do related to AEO is going to take time to start to influence your rankings, people coming to your site, those kinds of things. So in the meantime, you really need to be doing paid ads. It is the way to get those leads in short order. You don't want to just wait 6 or 8 months for Google to finally rank you. So I'd probably pick those 2 out of these to make sure that you're doing. And quite honestly, all 5 of these are very important to really dominating this coming year or this year now. All 5 are very important. All right, let's see what other questions we might have had. What is the main difference in running Google ads versus social media ads? Okay, so Google ads uh, is number one, mission critical here. These ads are basically driven by keyword searches. So if somebody types in window treatments near me, you as an advertiser can put into the Google ad system that when somebody types in window treatments near me, I want my ad to show. So it is very keyword based. When it comes to other social media ads on other networks, such as Facebook and Twitter and all these other ones, they're more driven on actions, demographics, psychographics, what things that your audience is doing that those platforms think your ad would make sense to show on those platforms. So for the most part, people are thinking about, gosh, I would love to look into some motorized shades. They're going to go to Google and they're going to type something like that in. However, once you have those ads up, if they get exposed to your business, some Facebook retargeting ads would probably work very well for you. So we talked a little bit about the retargeting side earlier. That is a fantastic way to get back in front of that person on some of these social media networks. And there are others. A lot of people don't know there are retargeting ads for YouTube. So if you have some sort of a video that you've done around a specific product, people came to your website, got engaged with your brand in some way, and then they go to Google, or so they go to YouTube to watch some videos. You can show your video there. So really important to understand the differences, but make sure that you're using all of these different platforms, or at least testing, one or two along the way, along with Google ads, which is, critical. All right. Thank you for the question. Were there any other questions that popped up? Let's see here. Let's see. We did that question already. Trying to see if there's anything else. Here we go. Is using AI a bad strategy for content marketing? So we kind of already talked a little bit about this. No, it is not bad to use it. However, it is bad to solely rely on it to create all your content. If your strategy is just to use AI to jam out a whole bunch of content for your site, Google's going to be onto you pretty quickly, and you're probably just wasting your time. However, if you use AI as part of an overall strategy to create better content with human editing, with some other things in place, so that that content you're putting out is really stellar, it is great content, it is helpful content. These are the things that are going to be important to publishing content on your site at the end of the day. So, no, it's not a bad strategy. Just don't solely rely on that to be the savior of you having to do content. It's not a smart idea. So, all right, I think that was the last question I saw. All right, so let me bounce back over here and let's talk about some free stuff. So, a couple things that I want to get to you. We've got an SEO masterclass. If you're interested in that, we'll put those links in the show notes here, in the workshop notes. There's a great 6-part series specifically on SEO if you want to learn more about that. Also, I want to make sure I get my book into your hands. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a second here. First, let's talk about next month. How to rule your local and on-page SEO. So we talked today about some of this stuff. We also talked about off-page SEO. So we're going to dive in a little bit more next month, specifically into local and on-page things that you can do to your website to influence Google, to influence the search engines, to show your website more often. There's a QR code right there that'll get you signed up. Make sure you go sign up for this workshop. This is going to be a really great workshop, and this will drive leads to your business at the end of the day. Now, I mentioned my book. I actually have 2 books, and I want to get them both into your hands absolutely free. You can use the QR code there. You can go to wtmarketingpros.com/book. We've got my Triple Your Window Treatment and Awning Leads, which is a fairly good thick book, 250 something pages of information all about digital marketing for window treatment and awning businesses. And then I published 10 quick wins, which is 10 chapters of things that you can implement very quickly and start getting the ball rolling to get more leads as well. Also, we've got a top 81 window treatment and awning keywords. If you want this list absolutely free, you don't just sign up for anything, just go put your name and email in there and we'll send it to you. Free list of the top keywords that we see across the industry right now. Very important to have that list, and it's a great list to be as the foundation for an ad campaign as well. It would be a great way for you to start that. And then lastly, if you want to learn more about how we help window treatment and awning companies, I'd love to jump on and do an SEO review for you, talk about your business, what you're doing now, what you're trying to achieve, what is your revenue goal for this year? Are you on track? Are you off track? What kinds of things are you doing or hoping to implement? I would love to have that conversation with you just to learn more about your business. There's a QR code there. You can go to wtmarketingpros.com/strategy and sign up on my calendar. Would love to have a conversation with you around all of the things that we can do and help you, or at least just point you in the right direction if maybe we're not the right fit for you. So listen, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this workshop. Hope you got some great value out of this. Go implement some of these things. These are really cool things you can do for your business. It will start to move that needle into obviously generating more revenue for your business. Here are some of my socials. There's my phone number, email, all of that stuff. If you want to learn more about us, feel free to reach out. And thank you in the meantime. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. And we will see you in next month's workshop.